Oh, hey, me, Cookie Monster, wants to show the world to get back from Sunday and Monday Night Live after a taping delay. Oh, and live from Lafayette, it's Sunday and Monday Night Live.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be here hosting Saturday Night Live.
We got a great show, so stick around. Here's Macaroona.
Macarooner, there's macaroon cookie trapped in that quickie bake oven, and it's about to blow. Don't worry, be on it. Oh, hand me that paperclip. Sure thing, Macarooner. Me knew me could defuse the macarooner.
We got a great show, so stick around. Here's Nathan Spears. Well, thank you, Cookie Monster. It's really appreciated. Now let's get into tier list. Thanks, Cookie Monster. You're welcome, Nathan.
Alright, first up we have Baxter the Bobcat from the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Dave Roberts saying, "Get out of here, Baxter."
He just said, "Get out of here, Baxter," but he's gonna rank.
I'm gonna put Baxter in C tier, mostly because I think he's a little creepy. He looks like he belongs in the NBA as opposed to the MLB. Though that's probably because he was made by the same company that does most of the NBA mascots. But anyways, Baxter's an alright mascot. I mean, you would think a team named after the Diamondback Snakes would have a snake as their mascot, but since they don't have arms and legs, I can kind of because Bobcats are native to Arizona.
Well, sorry about that. It was just the ESPN.
And also, the stadium that the Diamondbacks play in used to be known as the Bank One Ballpark, also known as the Bob. So like Bob, Bobcat, you get the reference, right? I think he's a little creepy, so he's gonna go in C tier. Next up, we have Blooper from the Atlanta Braves.
He asked Manny Machado to sign his autograph, but then he turned a check to Blooper for $300 million back to Nathan Spears. Well, thank you, Jesse.
I'm gonna put Blooper in B tier, just because he is a ripoff of the Philly Fanatic, and you're gonna see that a lot with some of these mascots on this list. A lot of them are ripoffs of the Philly Fanatic, or take inspiration from him, so be prepared for that. But as for Blooper, I think he's actually pretty good. I understand why they didn't go with a Native American mascot, because that's a little controversial, but I like Blooper. He looks kind of like Beaker from the Muppets, but he has Shrek ears. And you know how the Philly Fanatic has a party favor tongue? Well, Blooper has that too, except this time it comes out of his ears. That's pretty unique. But yeah, he is a really funny and really entertaining mascot. I especially like that one time he tackled a bunch of kids during a football game. That was hilarious. We kind of have to dock points for that. He's a solid B tier. Next up, we have the Oriole Bird from the Baltimore Orioles.
The Oriole Bird.
Okay, Tom, this is the Hearst Let's Go lightning round. You ready? You got your electrolytes?
I'm ready, Yvonne.
Okay, well, then let's go. Roll one.
Finally here. Opening day kicks off Camden Yards in just a few hours with the Orioles taking on the Blue Jays. ABC2's Brandon Mack.
Well, this morning we got somebody here who knows a lot about Orioles baseball. It's the Oriole himself. He's up early this morning with us. How you feeling? It was a long winter.
Very generic.
I'm gonna put him in A tier. He is kinda generic, but in similarity to the logo, which is probably because that's what he was based off of. But yeah, it fits the team really well, it matches the logo, and it's a very classic looking mascot. It doesn't look too creepy, it doesn't look too cartoony, it's just, really good. And also he was inducted into the Mascot Hall of Fame. It's a pretty good mascot. Next up, we have Wally the Green Monster from the Boston Red Sox.
But here's Red Sox goals. Top goals.
This is going to be our first S-tier mascot. Wally is a great mascot. He's very funny, and he's also a really good choice for the Red Sox park. It was built to keep people out who didn't buy tickets to the baseball game so that they couldn't watch the game for free. And so because the Red Sox are so iconic for, and I really like his design, it's very clean. He looks like a Sesame Street character. That's right, SpongeBob voiced this guy. But yeah, overall, Wally is a really good mascot. I really like his design. Really good choice for the Red Sox mascot.
Also, I had to get a ball.
So that's why he's an S tier. Next up, we have Southpaw from the Chicago White Sox.
I think it's Southpaw.
So y'all want me to show up, be on time.
This might be kind of a hot take, but I'm gonna put him in D tier. I do not understand is he an alligator? Is he a bird? Like, what is he? Is he a monster? And also Southpaw is left-handed. His name is also a reference to the south side of Chicago. But yeah, in terms of Southpaw as a mascot, there's for him a little better. But he was inducted in the Mascot Hall of Fame. He's the most recent MLB mascot to be inducted in there. And you can't argue with a Hall of Famer, but he's just not really my favorite. That's why he's in D tier.
Zyrtec algae relief works fast.
Zyrtec,
It lasts
what are you
24
doing?
hours, so you can seize the day.
Next up, we have yet another Chicago mascot. It's, of course, Clark the Cub from the Chicago Cubs.
I think that's Clark. But he's Jake Arrieta.
The Taco Bell Cravings Value Menu. 10 choices, each just $3 or less.
Boom.
Who is that? I think it's Clark, but it's Jake Arrieta today.
I think that's Clark.
I'm going to put this guy in B tier. I do actually like this guy more than Southpaw just because he actually has some correlation with the team. I mean, the Chicago Cubs are named after, bear cubs, so makes sense as to why their mascot is a bear cub. The name Clark actually comes from Clark Street, which is where Wrigley Field is located on. As for why Clark's not an S-tier mascot, he's pretty basic looking and his eyes are a little weird. And also, he might be somewhat of a good luck charm, as just in 2016. So that certainly says something. Anyways, at the end of the day, Clark is a pretty good mascot, and, there's nothing really too special with him, but there's also nothing really bad about him. So I'm going to put him in B tier. Next up, we have the mascots from the Cincinnati Reds.
So since there are 4 mascots for this team, I'm only going to get one clip.
Let's go, boys. The way that I approach work post-fatherhood has really been trying to understand.
Oh, Rosie, baby.
Oh, now you're happy, Rich.
How have you been? You been good?
But 4 mascots: Gapper, Mr. Red, Rosie Red, and Mr. Red Legs. So since there are 4 mascots for this team, I'm only going to rank one of them, and I'm going to choose Mr. Redlegs. I'm choosing him because a lot of Cincinnati fans see him as the primary mascot for the team, and he's usually the one associated with the Reds as a whole. Like, he's got statues, he's got the logo, he's even on the side of the stadium. To rank him at a B tier. But that's actually not the case because Mr. Redlegs, he's a ripoff of Mr. Met, a whole decade prior to Mr. Met. As for 2 seasons in the 1950s, he was seen on the Reds uniforms, although he didn't become a mascot costume until about 2007. It's a little creepy, but I do like the mustache and the old school uniform. But yeah, Mr. Redlegs is going in B tier. Next up, we have Slider from the Cleveland Guardians.
You would think the new team, the Guardians, would be the Indians in 2021.
Oh my God! In all of baseball, it is Slider. Slider. There he is.
Slider!
Oh my God!
Yo!
I'm gonna put Slider in C tier, just because he's another Philly Fanatic inspired character. Like something you would see if you took drugs. Like all the pinks and spots and all that. And while Slider is a little ugly, I do have a soft spot for him because funny. An interesting fact about Slider is that he's actually had the same performer since his very first getting outfield wall and tore knee ligaments. He still has the same performer to this day. And he's also inducted into the Mascot Hall of Fame. So yeah, even though Slider's a little hated by a lot of people, I do have a soft spot for Slider, so I'm gonna put him in C tier. Next up, we have Dinger from the Colorado Rockies.
Before we had a dinger clip, but you had the racing hot dogs. Why not?
I'm gonna put him in A tier. I really like this mascot. It's a cool looking design. You don't really see many dinosaurs and the different colors on his frill. Now you're probably wondering why the team has a Triceratops as their mascot. Well, it's because apparently when they were building Coors Field, they found fossil fragments from a Triceratops. So when you look at it that way, it does when he debuted, he burst out of a giant egg. Rockies player is at bat. He will dance behind home plate in an attempt to distract opposing pitchers. But anyways, overall, I really like Dinger. He's one of my favorite mascots in the MLB. I love dinosaurs, so that's why he's going in A tier. Next up, we have Paws from the Detroit Tigers.
The Tigers with paws.
Paws is the mascot of the MLB's Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, we know that.
I'm gonna put Paws in B tier. Now, I love my Tigers, but I'm not really a big fan of Paws. I really like his design, but you can still easily tell that he's a tiger. I really don't have much to say on Paws. He's a pretty good mascot, though I do think there are...
It's so easy to get your windshield replaced using Safelite. Tell the people why you haven't done it already, my man. It started off as a chip and grew into a...
There are better tiger mascots than him. Next up, we have Orbit from the Houston Astros.
Safelite, what are you doing here?
Immediately, I'm going to put this guy in S tier.
I think Orbit might be a library traveler.
Go White Sox! Yep, go White Sox.
He just went.
He is one of the best mascots in all of sports, period. Equals the Philly Fanatic in terms of being the best mascot in baseball. He's constantly messing with players. There's just so much great comedy with Orbit. He's actually so popular that when the team retired him, there were so many people petitioning to bring him back, and they finally did a couple years later. So yeah, Houston loves Orbit, and so do I. That's why he's going in S tier. Next up, we have Slugger from the Kansas City Royals. I'm going to put Slugger in A tier. I mean, he's almost an S tier for me.
With Slugger. It's still like a good neighbor. State Farm is there. There's some State Farm, everybody. Let's cut it.
Well, it's going to be hard, I think, for any team in that first series to come into Kauffman Stadium with that atmosphere and be loose and easy.
for me, but there's one kind of blends in with his head. Although it does make sense as to why he's a lion, because, you know, lions represent royalty and the team is called the Royals. So, makes total sense, and I like that they did that. And he's a pretty fun mascot. He's done some pretty funny things over the years, and yeah, he's also in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, not much to say about Slugger. Next up is the
Los Angeles Teams. Well, they have the Rally Monkey, and he's just guys in the Dodgers uniforms. I'm still not gonna put, because they're an F tier, because Nathan said it.
Miami Marlins. I'm gonna put Billy in A tier.
That was Billy the Marlin.
My dad migrated here from Colombia.
Early. Lobaton, and the bat goes into the stands right over the Nationals dugout. Wow. Really, the Marlin has the bat. Yeah, they're going to boo him, but they'll give the fan another
bat. He's one of the better looking fish mascots, and if you've seen my NFL or NHL mascot videos, then you know how much I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with. They look pretty bad. But Billy here actually does look pretty good. However, there's one reason why he's not S tier. I don't like his current redesign. I think the older design, even though it looks a little creepy, that looks more like a Marlin. I don't like it at all. But aside from the design, Billy is a pretty funny mascot. I put him in S tier because of the redesign, but I can put him in A tier. Next up, we have Bernie Brewer from the Milwaukee Brewers.
Now, Bernie isn't interesting, brought to you.
So finally, a warm-up brought to you by Bernie Brewer. The warm-up.
He's warmed up our set.
You know when Bernie Brewer is a humanoid mascot.
Now, Bernie is an interesting choice because he is a humanoid mascot, and if you guys haven't seen my other mascot videos, but they still have, like, you know, giant heads, tier is because of his backstory and how he was created. So Bernie is based off of a real-life fan named Milt Mason, who in 1970, back when the team was still new, he climbed up onto the scoreboard and dropped down from the scoreboard by sliding down from a rope, unfortunately in his honor. So Bernie is actually a tribute to Milt Mason. Down a large slide originally into a mug of beer, but now he slides down into a platform in the shape of home plate. But yeah, overall, I really do like Bernie Brewer. He's one of the better looking humanoid mascots, so that's why he's going in A tier. I love the racing sausages too, by the way. Next up, we have TC Bear from the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah, TC Bear.
I'm gonna put him in D tier, just because he's very, very, very generic. Minnesota, actually, I do kind of understand why he's a bear. You see, the reason, although comparing the two side by side, I don't really see a resemblance. And for anybody wondering what TC stands for, it stands for Twin Cities.
And also that one time he catch the foul ball in his mouth. That was really funny.
That was really funny. TC Bear is not one of my favorites, but he's not terrible. He's the New York Yankees. Now,
however, in 1970, they did have one. Their name was Dandy. And so the Yankees get rid of their facial hair policy. He just said an F tier. Also, get rid of your hair policy for the show.
Also, get rid of your facial hair policy. Next up, we have a true classic of a mascot, Mr. Met from the New York Mets.
Ask Mr. Met.
A very important question. Did you like Shea or Citi Field better? Have you ever got to bat? One time.
He is absolutely deserving to be in S tier. This is because he's actually the very first modern mascot in the MLB. debuting all the way back in 1963. But again, he's super iconic and he's an important part of baseball history. I mean, he did help other MLB teams get mascots. He also has a wife.
The Taco Bell Cravings Value Menu. 10 choices, each.
Taco Bell, what are you doing in here?
The cheesy double beef burrito. Double the seasoned.
Well, nice to see that Mrs. Met has made it to the game tonight. Mr. Met,
Wife Annie was inducted into the Mascot Hall of Fame in 2007.
And of course, Mrs. Met's new design is when her mouth is a little bit closed. You see it? That was a little open mouth. Like, comparing to 2014.
He was inducted into the Mascot Hall of Fame in 2007. He's Essick, and he is an S tier, and anybody who disagrees with me, go away. Next is the mascot that's probably going to make this tier list a little dated in a few years, but I'm going to include him anyways. And that is Stomper from the Oakland Athletics. I feel like it's appropriate to put Stomper in A tier
because he's an elephant country.
That was fun. Yeah, it's nice checking out the local spots. Oh, man. Did we lose him again? I bet I know where he is. I'll call him.
The elephant country.
Not just because the team is named the A's, but also because he's a very classic mascot. I'm a little biased, but I really do like Stomper. Though I will say I do prefer Big Al from Alabama a lot better than Stomper, just because Big Al is way funnier. Movement, but Stomper's trunk is always sticking out. From that is an elephant because they've had elephants on their logos, and if that ever happens, they keep Stomper as the mascot. Even if the team changes their name and logos, please keep Stomper as the mascot. Next up, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, the greatest mascot of all time, the Phillie Phanatic from the Philadelphia Phillies.
Even the Philadelphia...
I don't even mean to be disrespectful. I didn't know that you were a bird until today.
It has the same Philly.
S tier. What can I say, guys? S tier. It's the Phillie Phanatic. Probably the best mascot in all of sports. He makes him a Muppet, which I'm a little biased towards them. I don't care. And also, he's actually supposed to be a bird from the Galapagos Islands.
War is now inevitable.
In fact, the Mascot Hall of Fame would not exist without the Phillie Phanatic because that Hall of Fame was created by David Raymond, actually in the Baseball Hall of Fame too. That's how important he is. But anyways, I've said enough about the Phillie Phanatic. He's an S tier mascot. Pirate Parrot from the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm gonna put him in A tier.
He's Pirate Parrot. He's a green parrot.
Oh, we've got a standoff.
Another standoff.
How about this? What's happening now? We've had the anthem, and now players from both sides. We got big hat. Ramirez grabs the Parrot's hat.
Now, what if the parrot gets thrown out here, Greg? Do you think he has to leave the entire stadium?
You know, I think Tommy Lasorda once had Yuppie thrown out. Montreal Expos old mascot. Lasorda was the manager of the Dodgers. I think he got very angry at something that Yuppie was good.
He's another one of my favorite mascots. I really just like how he looks. He's super goofy looking, and he's done some pretty funny things. They actually did have a pirate as their mascot not too long ago. But come on, guys, the parrot is way better. Now, the reason he's actually a drug dealer, I'm actually being serious. Like, when a bunch of Pirates players were caught using drugs, well, who do you think gave them the drugs? Or did give them the drugs? So yeah, that's why he's not S tier. Next up, we have the Swinging Friar from the San Diego Padres. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, isn't the San Diego Chicken the
Oh, hi there. Hey, everybody. San Diego Chicken here with a cool phone app from PocketAvatars.com. For only 99 cents, you can use my face and your voice to send messages to friends just like this.
In the mascot of the Padres? To that I say, no. While the chicken is often mistaken for the San Diego Padres mascot, he was just created in San Diego that year. He's one of the better looking humanoid mascots, but he does kind of look like a mix between Fred Flintstone and the Little Caesars mascot. He's okay off of the Spanish Franciscan friars, who are partially responsible for creating the city of San Diego. And originally, when the mascot was introduced, he was played by a real person. It looks a C tier for me. Not the best, but also not the worst. Next up, we have Lucille from the San Francisco Giants.
Lucille.
Row one. What exciting benefits do you get as a Hertz Gold Plus Rewards member?
You get to skip the line and go right to your car.
And
pick any car you want from Hertz's wide selection of great vehicles.
You going, Will?
Earn points toward future rentals.
Boom! Jump right as soon. Got it.
Sorry, Tom Brady. It was just an ad.
Crawford hits a high drive to right. Out of here. Dickerson lines this one, and it's over the head of Hilliard.
I'm gonna put him in B tier. Despite his name being a play on the name Lucille, Lucille is actually a male. Him being a seal actually makes sense, and they're often associated with California and San Francisco, so that does make sense. Baseball team, the San Francisco Seals, that were pretty popular in the early to mid 1900s. But as for Lucille, I think he's a pretty solid mascot. He kind of looks like a rapper. He hasn't really done anything like extraordinary. He hasn't done anything really funny, but he's a pretty entertaining mascot nonetheless. Next up, we have the Mariner Moose from the Seattle Mariners. I'm going to put him in S tier, just because he's one of the most iconic baseball mascots in my opinion.
The Mariner Moose.
Well, in a pregame, there was a bit of an incident down on the field. It looked like a proposal, actually, for Garen Austin, the Moose, bringing gifts. And I don't know what Wally has to say about this.
Oh, that's
Wally.
not right.
That is cold.
Look at Garen having to fake a smile there because she loves Wally.
Like, whenever I think of a baseball mascot, I may think of Mr. Met or the Philly Fanatic, but Mariner Moose. He's a pretty entertaining character, even though he does look a little creepy. It's really just because he hasn't really aged all that well, but actually, I think he's aged pretty good. I do like that he is a moose because moose are actually pretty common throughout Washington and Seattle, and their population is continuing to grow each year. You want to know something interesting? Even though he's seen as very iconic today, back when he was first introduced, he was not well received. The crowd even chanted, "Kill the moose," when he was first unveiled. But eventually people did grow to love him. One of my favorite stadium. This stopped after they got a new stadium, and also in 1995 he ran into an outfield wall and broke the hell out of his leg. In my opinion, he's one of my favorites, so I think he's totally deserving for an S tier. Next up, we have Fred Bird from the St. Louis Cardinals.
says the Lou from Fredbird.
I'm gonna put Fredbird in B tier. I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but he's not really my favorite Cardinal mascot. I mean, honestly, he doesn't even look like a Cardinal from some angles. Like, compare him to the Arizona or Louisville mascot, he doesn't really look like a Cardinal. He almost looks like a Penguin. I'm also not really a big fan of...
It's always not a big fan. It's always his big, wide-open smile.
His big, wide-open smile, like, he looks like he's screaming or he's constantly shocked. Like, he just looks so funny. But I guess that's part of his charm. And
I was just laughing at the big, wide-open smile. He just said he's screaming or he's constantly shocked.
he is pretty funny and entertaining throughout games. Like, I've seen some funny stuff that he's done. And at first, I wasn't really a big fan of the name Fredbird, but it turns out the reason why that's his name is because it's a play on the word Redbird.
So stick around, we have Lady Monster Gaga, that's the name, the piano, we'll be right back. And now,
Monster Gaga. Cookie face, cookie face. Me, cookie face, me, cookie face. It's been a great week.
Leo, Jake from State Farm.
You did it, buddy.
sorry about that, Jake from State Farm.
Which is another nickname for cardinal birds. So even though I didn't like Fredbird at first, he has grown on me a lot, so I'm going to give him a B tier. Next up, we have Raymond the Sea Dog from the Tampa Bay Rays.
Now we can get to Raymond.
Well, you suggested bundling home and auto, you bundling bundler.
Who wanted that affordable price? Bundle and save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Well, looks like defending the truck.
It's gonna stop this guy. Raymond.
I'm gonna put him in D tier. I don't really know what to think of this guy. Like, what is he supposed to be? What's a sea dog? I mean, you would think they would make him like a stingray or something because the team is called the Rays, but what is a sea dog? Okay, so sea dogs are actually a type of seal, but he doesn't really look like that. He doesn't look like a seal or a dog, but actually, he is an accurate representation of a Florida man. No offense, Florida residents. And I've seen videos of him. He's not as comedic as some other MLB mascots, but DJ Kitty much better than Raymond. Next up, we have Rangers Captain the Horse from the Texas Rangers.
The Texas Rangers, former World Series champions of 2023.
At the Rangers Winter Caravan had a conversation, kind of. At the Rangers Winter Caravan had a conversation, kind of, with Captain.
I'm gonna put him in C tier. He's a pretty bland looking mascot. I mean, he's a horse. He's a horse, of course. I actually thought he was a camel when I first saw him, but he's actually not a camel, if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's what kind of horse he is for Texas. And also, Rangers, which is what the team is based off of, they use horses. So it does make sense. But overall, there's really nothing too special with him or what he better than him. So that's why he's going in C tier. Next up, we have the second to last mascot on this list, Ace from the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm going to put him in B tier.
What are these? Pants?
I don't really have much to say about him. He looks okay. There's really not much to him. I don't really like how he has, like, his head shape is really weird. It's not pointy like an actual Blue Jay. And his eyes are a little creepy, but he's not a bad mascot by any means. So I'm going to put him in B tier again. Nothing really too special about him, but also nothing really bad about him. He's just kind of there. Next, we have the last and final mascot for the MLB mascot tier list. It is Screech from the Washington Nationals.
Screech, Washington Nationals.
I'm going to put him in probably D tier. What is up with this guy's mouth? I mean, just like Fredbear, he always looks like he's screaming because of how wide his mouth is. I understand that's where the person inside looks out of, but he could have closed the mouth a little more. Like, why does he look like he's screaming? And also, compared to other Eagle mascots like the Philadelphia Eagles or the Washington Nationals and a couple other Eagle teams, he's not really that special. Like, he's kind of generic and a little basic, but I mean, hey, pretty much every team in Washington, D.C. has an eagle as their mascot, which makes sense because eagles are the U.S. symbol. They're associated with Washington, D.C. But I feel like they could have done a little better with Screech. He's not the worst one, but he's also not the best. So that's why he's going in D tier.
It is also the racing presidents. Why not? MLB mascot tier list is done.
Successful businesses know the value of 5-star reviews. True Review has all the tools you...
It's always over. Sorry about that.
Wait, me like St. Betty Crocker, Sarah Lee, Little Debbie, and Lorne Michael. Bye-bye. Crocker, Sarah Lee, Little Debbie, and Lorne Michael. Bye-bye. Or be like St. Betty Crocker, Sarah Lee, Little Debbie, and Lorne Michael. Bye-bye. It's been a great week. Be like St. Betty Crocker, Sarah Lee, Little Debbie, and Lorne Michael. Bye-bye. And Lorne Michael. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Crocker, Sarah Lee, Little Debbie, and Lorne Michael. Bye-bye. It's been a great week. Be like St. Betty Crocker, Sarah Lee, Little Debbie, and Lorne Michael. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. There you have it. Help Cookie Monster take this viral. Yeah, send this to all you friends. Friends. And tell them to join this group to get me, Cookie Monster, to host Saturday Night Live. Yeah.
And thank you for MLB to take this viral to host Sunday and Monday Night Live. Yeah.
Me time has come. And now, the time has come for this cookie! Nom, nom, nom. Oh, nom, 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 nom. Ah.
Thank you, Nathan Space. You're welcome, Cookie Monster. Sure, you can have it anytime. Oh yeah, sorry about that.
Bye-bye.